Hi there, Mr. Holcomb here with another episode of The Math Behind the Modules. This is Lesson 2, the area of a right triangle. Okay, so it starts off with an exploratory challenge. We did that in class, or we're going to do that in class, and I am not going to address it here. We're just going to lead right up to the formula for a triangle and how we obtain that. So if I draw a rectangle like so, there's my rectangle. The area of a rectangle is length times width, where this is the length and this is the width. So I'm going to label that length, and I'm going to label this width. So the area, if this were 10 and this were 5, then 10 times 5 is 50, and the area of this would be 50. So what happens now if I draw a line from a diagonal line like so? Okay, so what did I just do to this rectangle by drawing that line right here? Okay, and how much of the rectangle is this side? Well, that's a half. I forgot to take my pen back. This is a half of the rectangle, and this is a half of a rectangle. So a rectangle we know has right angles, and so it's a right triangle when I cut it in half. And this is also a right triangle up here. So if the area of a rectangle is length times width, and then we cut it in half to form this right triangle, and they're equal, these two are equal, then the area of a triangle, and I will just depict it as area, and I'll draw a little triangle as a subscript right here. The area of the triangle equals 1/2 the length times the width. So if I take the entire rectangle, find its area, divide it by 2, and that will be the area of the triangle. Okay, so this is one way we can write the formula. And another way we can write the formula is just simply take length times width and then draw a fraction bar under all of it and put a 2 under it, divided by 2. So either this formula or this formula, they mean the same thing. They will get the same results every time. So now we're on to the exercise where it says calculate the area of each triangle below. Each figure is not drawn to scale. So it is a right triangle, so I know it's half of a rectangle. So if I realize that if I did this here and created a rectangle here, okay, now I have a rectangle whose area is 8 by 15, and this triangle is half of that. So I'm going to say area equals 1/2 length times width. Step 1, as you saw in lesson 1, and I'm going to really stress every time we do this, that you write the formula. Step 1, write the formula. Step 2, substitute in the given information. The length is 15 feet. The width is 8 feet. When we're calculating the area, the diagonal here, which is the longest side of the right triangle, which is opposite the right angle, is called the hypotenuse, is not relevant to finding the area. So this 17 feet is not needed to find the area of the triangle. We need the base, and we need the height, or the length, and the width. Okay, so let me change that to B and H, because remember they are the same thing, and we're probably going to use this formula more so than LW, getting you familiar with what a base is and what height is. Okay, so area equals 1/2 15 times 8. So area equals 1/2. Remember when we multiply, order does not matter because multiplication is commutative. So I'm going to multiply the 15 times the 8 first, and 5 times 8 is 40. Carry the 4, and 8 times 1 is 8, plus 4 is 12. So 15 times 8 is 120, and feet times feet is feet squared. So now I just want to multiply 1/2 times 120, or it's the same as 120 divided by 2, and the area equals 60 square feet. Okay. Number 2, Here we have a base, here we have a height. So I'm going to write the formula first. A equals base times height divided by 2. So I'm going to use this formula this time just to show you that it's interchangeable, either one, whatever one you're comfortable with. So area equals the base, 11.4 cm, times the height, which is 17.7 cm. And that's all divided by 2. So the area of the triangle equals. Okay, so now I've got my calculator, and if I take 11.4 times 17.7, I get 201.78 divided by 2. So the area of the triangle, 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 0 0 times, 2 goes into 1 0 times, 2 goes into 17 9 times, and 2 goes into 18 9 times. So the area is 100.99 centimeters. I should have centimeters here. Centimeters times centimeters is centimeters squared. So my answer is 100.99 centimeters squared. Okay, and I did a minor miscalculation there. It's 100.89 centimeters squared. Half of 17, 9 and 9 is 18. That was too much, so it's 8 and 8 is 16 with the remainder of 1. Okay, so on to the next one. We have a right triangle. Sometimes they will rotate it to try to confuse you. Here is the right angle. So this side is my base, and this side is my height. This is the hypotenuse. I do not need it. Okay, so area equals base times height divided by 2. Write the formula, substitute in the given. The base is 8 inches. The height is 6 inches. And divide it by 2. So in this problem, no calculator necessary. 6 times 8 is 48. Inches times inches is inches squared. Divided by 2. And then simplify. 48 divided by 2 is 24 inches squared. Okay, and number 4. Okay, this is my base. This is my height. Okay, the right angle are the two sides you use. The corner where the right angle symbol is, these are the two sides you always use. You never use this diagonal. So here is the right angle. Use this side and this side. And so my formula is area equals base times height divided by 2. Substitute in the givens. My base is 8 2/3 meters. Since I'm multiplying fractions, I'm going to make them improper. 3 times 8 is 24, plus 2 is 26, over the original denominator, meters. 26/3 meters. 5 times 5 is 25, plus 3 is 28. 28 over the original denominator of 5 meters. All divided by 2. Okay, so I'm going to move this over here. I'm running out of room. So I multiply the top times the top. 26 times 28. So 26 times 28 equals 728. Actually, let me write A. 728 over 3 times 5, which is 15, divided by 2. I'm going to write this in a different color to show you what I'm going to do next, because there's a rule with us dividing a fraction by a fraction. And 2 can be written as 2 over 1. Okay? So here is my division symbol of my 2 fractions. I've got a fraction on top, I got a fraction on the bottom, and we're dividing the 2 fractions. The rule that we have that is that we cannot divide a fraction by a fraction. So what we do is we leave the numerator as it is, and that is meters squared, by the way. Okay, so 728 over 15 meters squared. And the rule says to flip it and switch it. So flip this and switch to multiplication. So we're going to multiply by 1 over 2. So 728 meters squared times 1 is 728 meters squared. 15 times 2 is 30. So then I simplify that, and 3 goes into 7 2 times with a remainder of 1. 3 goes into 12 4 times, and 3 goes into 8 2 times with a remainder of 2. Okay, so we have to be really careful with this 30, not this 3. So the area should be, I think, 24.2, but I'm going to make sure with my calculator, whenever you aren't certain, you should do the same thing. So I'm going to bring my calculator back up, and I'm going to take 728 divided by 30. And I get 24.26, and there my decimal is in the right place, but I just hadn't finished. There's a remainder, and it's 0.6 repeating. So it's 24.26 repeating meters squared. So the area of that triangle is 24.26 meters squared, and that is an approximation since I rounded. Okay, so I use the squiggly equal sign, which means an approximation. Okay, number 5. Again, it's a rotation. Don't be confused by that. My right angle is right here. The sides that create that right angle are this side and this side. So all I need to know is that this is the base and this is the height. Area equals base times height divided by 2. Write the formula, step 1. Step 2, substitute the givens. Base is 32.7 kilometers. That's a big triangle. 32.7 kilometers times 21.4 kilometers. All divided by 2. So the area equals, okay, with a large number like this, probably a good idea to use a calculator. If you want to practice your multiplication skills and do it the long way, that's fine too. I'm just going to save time in my video here by just using the calculator. So 32.7 times 21.4 equals 699.78. And I'm going to divide that by 2. So the area, and kilometers times kilometers is kilometers squared. And so my area equals 2 goes into 6 3 times, 2 goes into 9 4 times the remainder of 1. 9 times 2 is 18, so it's 9, the remainder of 1. Point, 2 goes into 17, 8 times the remainder of 1, and 2 goes into 18, 9 times, so it's 349.89 square kilometers. Okay, so that could be like a field or something that is a really big field out in the Great Plains or something. So A equals 349.89 square kilometers. Okay, number 6. Mr. Jones, okay, just one second. Mr. Jones told his students they each need half of a piece of paper. Calvin cuts his piece of paper horizontal, and Matthew cuts his piece of paper diagonal. Which student has a larger area on his half of the piece of paper? So what they're asking is this area, this half of this paper here, let me try that again. Let me use my shape recognizer. Okay, so it's this area here. Actually, you can't do it in color, so might as well just stick to what I have. So what they're asking is this rectangle, or right here, bigger, smaller, or equal to this triangle here? So now let me just move these closer together so we can look at them. So we want to know which one of these two things has the greater area. So number 7 says, okay, so it says which student has a larger area on his half piece of paper, and explain. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so it says, after cutting the paper, both Calvin and Matthew have the same area. Calvin cut his into two rectangles that are each half the area of the original piece of paper. Matthew cut his paper into two equivalent right angles that are also half the area of the original piece of paper. So if you look here, the way I put one over top of the other one, if I took this piece of paper here and cut it off, rotated it 180 degrees, it would land right here and fill in that space there. All right, number 7. Ben requested that the rectangular stage be split into 2 equal sections for the upcoming school play. The only instruction he gave was that he needed the area of each section to be half of the original size. If Ben wanted the stage to be split into 2 right triangles, did he provide enough information? Why or why not? Okay, so the answer is Ben did not provide enough information because the stage may be split horizontally or vertically through the middle of the rectangle. This would result in 2 equal pieces, but they would not be right triangles. Number 8, if the area of a right triangle is 622 square inches and its base is 3.11 inches, write an equation that relates the area to the height and the base and solve the equation to determine the height. These types of problems is where the formulas come in really handy when you're given a total and need to find a part. So the first thing I will do is draw a right triangle. Oh, I can't lift my pen to do that. 1, 2, 3 without lifting. Okay, still not very good. All right, try one more time. All right, close enough. All right, so first thing we should always do is draw a diagram. So here is our right triangle. The area of the right triangle is 622 square inches and its base is 3.11 inches. So this is what we know. 3.11 inches is the base, and it says write an equation that relates the area to the height and the base and solve to determine the height. So that's what we need. We know that the area is 6.22 square inches. So I know the whole area is 6.22 inches squared, and I know the base, but I don't know the height. Okay, well, that confuses a lot of students, and that's why I highly recommend writing the formula every single time. Just like up here, area equals base times height divided by 2. So step 1, if you follow these rules, it makes it so much easier. So you write the formula, area equals base times height divided by 2. Substitute in your givens. Your area is 6.22 inches squared. That equals the base 3.11 inches times the height divided by 2. So the only thing we don't know is this height right here. So in order to solve this, this is an equation we're going to use. Remember, I've said this many, many times this year. It's PEMDAS in reverse because we have an equation, and we do inverse operations to move across equal signs. So we're going to do subtraction, addition first. There is none. Then we do multiplication and division next, or division and multiplication. So we have division. The inverse of division is multiplication. So if I multiply both sides by 2, these 2's cancel, and 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4, and 6 times 2 is 12. So 12.44 inches squared equals 3.11 inches times the height. Okay, I'll do it this way. Now this is multiplication. In order to get rid of multiplication, we divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3.11 inches. I keep forgetting that I. And this side by 3.11 inches. And what happens then is the 3.11 inches cancels with 3.11 inches, and we're left with this h all by itself, equal to, and 1 will go into 4 times, 1 will go into 4 times, 3 will go into 12 times, so it's 3.11 will go into 12.44, exactly 4 times. So the height is 4 inches, because inches squared divided by inches leaves inches on top. One cancels on top and the one on the bottom, that leaves one on top. So my answer is 4 inches. The height is 4 inches. Okay, that is the end of lesson 2. Go do your problem set.